Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Woodworth, Dan and Irene Woodworth's son. This was read at their 40th anniversary vow renewal and celebration. This is who they are. From September 1st, 1979 to September 1st, 2019. This consisted of 14,600 days or 350,400 hours. 24 moves in California, Idaho, and Oregon before their 25th anniversary. Now living in their Boise home 15.5 years. Yahoo! 25 years of infertility, becoming legal parents in their 50s to their one and only amazing son, Chris. Dan's 6 near-death experiences with too many hospitalizations to count. Irene becoming the only survivor of malignant hyperthermia, which is fast-moving heat stroke, in the 117-year history of St. Luke's Hospital in downtown Boise, Idaho. 1 Associate of Art degree, 2 bachelor degrees, 1 master's degree, 1 doctorate degree. 2 Distinguished Toastmaster Awards, which are received by less than 1% of Toastmasters internationally. 4 church plants in California and Idaho. 2 books published. Countless articles and blogs. Many victories and several unexpected losses. 5 years of caregiving for Irene's mom and estranged dad. Thousands of memories, thousands of miles, and they know the best is yet to come. They have been tested over and over again, found to be fireproof, and still standing by the grace of God. Happy 40th anniversary, Dr. Dan and Irene Woodworth.
Hi, faithful Facebook friends and prayer warriors, passionate prayer warriors. The last 12 weeks have been quite an episode. About 5 days ago, my sweetheart, my most beautiful, beloved bride, inspiring Irene.
Hi.
Here she is. We posted a message about wanting and desperately needing prayer. And so I kind of want to give you a little history of what's happened in the last 12 weeks and actually when we first met each other and were engaged and married. So what happened back in grad school in September of 1977, we were both students and we met each other. And then we were married on September 1st of 1979. So we knew each other about 44 years, but to the day right now, on April 10th, 2022, we've been married 42 years, 7 months, and 10 days. So it's been a miracle. I just want to share a little bit about my historical background growing up and all the experiences I've had. My dad was the director of the Department of Fish and Game in Hawaii, and I was born there in Hilo. And before I was born, my mother was traumatized with a miscarriage. And during the pregnancy and my birth, there was a lot of trauma that happened. So I was born in terrorizing trauma. And my whole life has been sinister stress, pain, anxiety, freezing fear, and grief, and huge losses. And when I was praying this morning, I thought about who I was, and I kind of saw a video picture of my life right before my eyes. And I thought, the way it reminds me of is the videos of the Ukraine-Russia war and in Vietnam. I mean, my whole emotional life has been grief, trauma, shock, anxiety, and fear. And to overcome all that has just been a miracle. One miracle after the other. It's just been amazing. But I've had pauses where there's a time of peace, and the posts that I do on Facebook are a result of praying through trauma, praying through anxiety, praying through fear. And it's straight out of my heart. I don't really make anything up. It just comes from the Lord, and it's a miracle blessing.
Who told you about doing those posts?
Oh, yeah, my most beautiful beloved bride. So why don't you start doing posts on Facebook about 13 years ago? And so it's been a real blessing to me and to everybody. You know, your response has just brought great healing to my heart.
What's interesting about these posts, when Dan writes them, I said, you know what, you have a gift with words. It would be great if you started encouraging other people with your life and what you're coming out of. So I'm always amazed, and I have a friend, Pebby Comer in Texas, in Amarillo, and I shared with her, I'm amazed at how Dan can just sit there and just think and pray, and then all of a sudden these words come out. And I'm looking at him thinking, gosh, I would have had to do quite a few edits just to do one post. And it's amazing to me how God has really gifted him with words. So it's all about giving encouragement, giving healing hope to people, because we know that life can be really challenging. We have experienced it firsthand. We're not talking about something that we read in a book. We're sharing our life in these words.
And it's amazing that I'm alive. I mean, I've had so many near-death experiences and supernatural, real resurrection over and over. But this last 12 weeks started on January 17th, Martin Luther King Day. My sweetheart took me to the ER because I had a pain in my stomach. They found out that there was a diverticulosis, and that was fixed with the antibiotics. But my blood pressure was super high, and before that, I could do exercise and just deep breathing and other things, working really hard to keep it down. But at that point, I kind of was in a shocked position, and the ER people were freaking out. So I started picking that up, and I'd try and fight through the anxiety through prayer for about 5 weeks, and it was hard to sleep. It was hard to think, and it was just like being terrorized, being locked up in hell for that 5-week period. And it was just tormenting. I mean, I couldn't get peace. It'd just be a little bit, and then hear another wave of anxiety and fear and all this, and I was crying and weeping, and it just kept going on and on and on. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to make this. This is too much. And it was hard to believe that I could survive. And then on February 23rd...
Can I interrupt you here?
Sure.
I want to share that. Also, on top of this, our little doggies, our furry doggies, Jack and Jill, were getting very, very ill. And we adopted them. They were rescues. 3 days after my dad died, our little dog, Taylor, Tiny Transforming Taylor, I believe. Dan called him Triple T. Got killed in a hit and run in Phoenix, Arizona. So I knew we were really traumatized, and it had already been a stressful month for me of caregiving, the last month of my dad's life in hospice at my aunt's house. And when that happened, it's like everything hit me, and they didn't know if they're going to have to take me to the hospital. I've never grieved so hard in my life, and that little dog really touched my life. And I knew we couldn't come back to Boise without a dog. So we went to the shelter, and we adopted little Jack and Jill. We only wanted one, and it was little Jill that won our hearts. And we had compassion on Jack, and they said, well, she's a twofer. I said, what's a twofer? Well, she's two for the price of one. And even though he was a dog that was in the AKC registered as a Bichon poodle, they had grown up together and they couldn't be separated. So I thought, well, we don't really need two dogs, but one dog will do. Well, these little dogs they were a blessing in our lives, and they were getting sicker and sicker, and Jill had a heart murmur, and she got congenital heart failure, and they thought maybe little dogs sometimes can live an extra year, but I didn't think she'd last that long. and she started getting worse and worse. And Jack started having anxiety attacks, and then he had some issues too. And it was really sad. We had to make the hardest decision of putting them down, and it was hard. It was really hard. So this was happening while Dan was sick, and I was trying to get them out of the room when they'd start stirring, and Jill would have a hard time having these attacks, and Jack having their little attacks in the middle of the night. So I would take them, because they were bonded to me, I would take them out of the room so Dan could sleep. And so that all happened during this time. So I'm telling you, you talk about a stressful time. And then what happened, Dan?
Well, on February 23rd, and I do work out on my bike and different things. My blood pressure was staying up. It wouldn't come down. And I was really going into a deeper panic then. And so I made an appointment with a doctor who was not my primary care physician because she was gone. And so I went in to see him, and it was so healing for me because he was so calm, and I knew he was praying. I could feel his love and compassion coming out. So he prescribed some medicine for me, and I started taking that. And because of my anxiety, he prescribed some sertraline or Zoloft. I'd never had any anxiety medicine in my life, and I reacted all over the place. I was completely nervous and panicked and anxious, and I couldn't sleep for, it seemed like days and days and days. And so he took me off of the sertraline, and I started to feel a little bit better. But when our dogs went to heaven on March 10th, that was about 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks later, after I'd started seeing the doctor. But the anxiety and the fear and the terror and the grief and everything kept coming up. It was like I couldn't stop it. But I noticed something, that when I was experiencing all that pain, trauma and grief and losses and shock, and just it felt like I was dying every second. And it was just really hard to get any peace. But I noticed it would start to, my body would feel relieved. And I thought, wow, Lord, what was going on here? It's just, there's something, I can't stop this. I just kept.
Well, you were crying an awful lot.
Yeah.
And my husband has always been very calm natured and pretty peaceful guy. And to see him continually cry at just about everything. And I thought, well, part of this could be sleep deprivation. And as a wife, you want to encourage your husband. And one thing I did feel in my prayer time, that God said, Dan is going to be all right. He's going to be okay. But in the natural, if you looked at it, it was very scary, and he didn't look good. And I thought, I don't know about this, Lord. He looks like he's fading. And I thought to myself, am I going to need to start preparing funeral services or something? Because I thought, okay, we lost the dogs. Now it's going to be Dan. I didn't know. But the only thing I could do is just pray and intercede and just be an encouraging wife and helping him along this path. But I'll tell you something, it's really hard when you don't see any changes happening. And the reason we wanted to share just about our journey is because we know people are really going through it. We know that people have had a lot of losses. And I just recently changed the cover photo on my Facebook page to my late mom's memorial service we had in Glendale, Arizona. And that was 6 years ago, just a couple days ago. And in the picture, not everybody was there that attended, but those that we were able to take a picture, 4 of that extended family have gone to heaven. They've all died. And it's amazing to me what's happened, because so many people experience losses. We've had a handful of other relatives that have died, some with COVID, some not. But we know that people have been really struggling, and we wanted to share our heart today because we thought, you know what? We need to share our story. If it can encourage one person, then it's worth it all. But I'll tell you something. Sometimes people look and they say, oh, they don't look like they've ever had a problem, or they've been probably scathed and they have a good life. But you don't know what it took for people to get where they're at. And it takes, as an art student and as a color enthusiast and color consultant, as a design professional, color is not vibrant if you don't have some black next to it, or even white. It's amazing to me how we need the various shades of color. They call me Idaho's color lady because I train and certify color consultants, and I work with color, and I teach about color. Color's always been very important to me, and that's another subject. But what I want to share is people go through a lot. And I think more than ever, we need to encourage each other. And that's what we're trying to do today. And hopefully you will be encouraged knowing that. I told Dan, I said, you know what? You've never really struggled like this. You have gotten through things. You have been healthy pretty much. I mean, he's had a few bouts of illnesses. But what's interesting to me is that this time it's like he couldn't shake it. He couldn't shake it. He couldn't get better. And usually it's like, okay, we're going to get through this thing, and it's going to be okay. And you start seeing healing coming. But this time it was different. This time healing didn't seem to be coming. And all I could do is just stand on the belief and the word I got. He's going to be okay. Dan is going to be all right. Dan is going to be fine. I just kept feeling that. So I had to just keep reminding myself of that Dan was going to be fine. My husband would be all right. And then what happened, Dan, when they took him off of the sertraline, and I want you to know, I knew it was bad when Dan a wordsmith, could not put words together. He was trying to talk to me, and I knew, no, there's a chemical reaction going on. And I called the doctor's office and I said, we got to get in. Something has to change. We need to get him off some of this medicine. I believe he's getting over medicated. And we try to do as much as we can organically, holistically, and with food as medicine, eating the right foods. That's what we've been working on this last year. But nothing seemed to be working. So what happened, Dan?
So when I went to see Dr. Rapepi, he, like I said, he's very calm and just amazing, man. He looks and acts like Jesus. I mean, healing coming out of him. And so that calmed me down, because other doctors at the ER and other times they would go into panic mode, of all the different things that were happening. So he started adjusting different medicines and then having me come in. And because so much trauma had occurred, he thought I was maybe having a heart attack every time I came in. So I had to do an EKG and blood test and all this stuff. And he said, your heart's perfect. It's great. He said, I don't understand why this is happening. And during that time, the last 12 weeks, I realized through prayer, the Lord revealed to me that because of all the trauma and shock and grief and losses, and just like being in a war zone constantly emotionally, it had... that the high blood pressure was a result of all this pressure, the poisonous pain in my subconscious mind. And so the Lord showed me, just revealed straight from heaven, it really blew me away completely, that I had used the Word of God in prayer as medication to try and numb the pain, like a drug addict takes drugs, or food addict, or whatever the addiction is. I would take the Word in prayer and try and overcome it with that.
Which isn't a bad thing, but it was excessive. And then go ahead. Sorry.
And then so I started realizing that, okay, when this anxiety and shock and trauma and grief and losses and disappointments and betrayals and all the stuff, anything you can think of, was starting to come up and out. And so 5 days ago, my sweetheart did that post, and I want to tell all of you, several hundred responses, I'm sure, I think 95 actual ones, but your prayers and your love and your compassion and grace and mercy has brought deep, deep, deep healing to me. And the last few days I've been able to gain a little bit more composure where I don't fall apart, and I don't feel like I'm going to die every second. And I've overcoming the fear. Now the physical shaking and stuff is still there, but it doesn't matter to me. So I'd prayed before. I said, Lord, I don't care what I see, what I hear, what I feel. I'm going to trust you and just be in the Spirit. That's all that matters. I don't care. Man, I have been tested with that confession and that prayer. And so I've had to just fight, as hard as I can, just praying and overcoming. And I want to share one quick thing that happened on a few nights ago. Dr. Repepi left me a voicemail, and I said, please call me tomorrow. And I couldn't call him right then. It was about 8 o'clock at night. I think it was a Thursday night. And I was so traumatized and panicked, I just went into a complete meltdown, and I thought, oh my God.
You were alone at the time?
Yeah, I'm not going to make it here. This is overwhelming. So what I did is I did as much as I could. I said, Lord, I don't really believe that what I'm saying, but help me. And I just kept crying out, and it was like this giant kind of octopus that was just swallowing me up, and it was terrifying. And I kept fighting and praying and just doing everything that I could, and I felt this breakthrough. Everybody had been praying for a few days, and it just seemed like I had this peace, and I thought, wow, man, that thing has plagued me all my life. And it's with all the prayers of my faithful Facebook friends, your passionate prayers, it's just...
And family and extended
family. And everybody, just intense, powerful prayers. And I could feel this breakthrough and, more peace. And so now I feel like I'm a little new-born sheep. I'm trying to get my feet on the ground and all the different things that, this trying to get reoriented here, but it's, and physically I don't really feel that much different. It's just, but emotionally and spiritually, I can feel my spirit getting stronger and stronger and stronger through your healing prayers.
Well, actually, Dan, I want to tell you that physically you may not feel, but I can tell you from the outside, you are actually making sense now. You are actually speaking clearer every day, and you are getting stronger. And when I saw, it was like a spirit of death coming over you, and you couldn't put those words together, and you were just lost. I saw you, it's like you were slipping away. And I have compassion on people where people give them drugs or they take drugs and they're gone. They're going. And we've had a lot in our lives. We've had, like Dan said, but the thing is that I can tell you physically you are improving and your eyes are getting clearer and your color is coming back. Thank God. So I just want to thank everyone for your prayers and your encouragement, not just on Facebook, but family and friends sending us texts and holding us up. We have done a lot in helping people throughout our lives. But now sometimes you just have to say, I need help. And that's something that in my younger years, I wouldn't let people know how I was hurting. And I had to be the strong one. When you're the firstborn, an unplanned child of a teenage couple, you learn how to survive. And it's not thriving, but it's surviving and just trying to make it. And I am so grateful for our life. I am grateful for the hard, the good, the sad, the broken, the losses, because that's who's made us to who we are today. And sometimes I'll never forget Pastor Ron Williams in Orange, California. I'll never forget a sermon he preached once on how in our life we're like rocks that get put in a rock tumbler, and we have a lot of sharp edges, and we get thrown around, we get through life, we get bruised up, we get hit, we come against each other, and I mean we just kind of rub each other the wrong way sometimes, but we all have surfaces that are sharp and pointy and just kind of need to be smoothed out a little bit. It takes a little bit of time in our lives and experiences that either soften us or make us bitter. And for a long time, I would hear, I don't want to get bitter, I want to get better. And so Dan and I have really made it a point to get better. Learn from life, learn from your experiences. And even though we've had a ton of losses. We've been through a hard things in our lives. And you're just like, people would sometimes, our spiritual mentor, Evangelist Sandwright, that worked with Teen Challenge for many years, she said, I have never, ever met a couple that had been through so many dangers, toils, and snares. And we have. But what's good about that is it's caused us to be more understanding and more compassionate with people. And I'm grateful for that. And so, if you read my posts, I try to put in positive things. I'm all about positivity, and I'm all about encouraging. And they call my husband the encouraging communicator, and I'm Idaho's color lady. And we really try to encourage people. That's our mission. That's our hope. And if we could call our podcast anything that we want to do, this is just the beginning. It's called Healing Hope Beyond Belief. And Dan says it usually in his posts, beyond belief. And why do you say beyond belief?
Because the Lord reveals in Ephesians 1 and Philippians 4 that his love is past comprehension, beyond our understanding. And the peace that passes all understanding through prayer is very, very powerful, and it's amazing. I'm just thinking, how am I alive right now? How am I speaking? Because the last 12 weeks, it felt like I was going to die pretty much every second. And it was just terrorizing, the trauma and the terror and the shock and the grief and just, all this poison, the poisonous pain was coming out of my subconscious mind, which I had stuffed, because of a defense mechanism. It's too much to bear, too painful. And it's amazing what we've been able to do. I mean, I've struggled and cried, and through getting my master's degree and then my doctorate, I just about died. I thought, God, I can't do this. And I'd cry and weep, and it was agonizing. Anything that I tried to do was just met with like 100-mile-an-hour wind, just blowing, and hurricanes and earthquakes and floods and tornadoes and everything emotionally, pretty much all the time. And I thought, how could I survive all this?
Well, one thing I do have to just interject a little, that when Dan finally got accepted into the doctoral program in LA, and it was so funny because he said, I got in, and they said, they're going to send us a list of some reading we need to do before the classes start. And what happened when you got the list? What did they give you?
7 books you had to read and do a research reflection analysis on each book. And I thought, oh, my sweetheart. She said, why don't you apply for that doctorate program? I remember very clearly it was May 18th of 06. And I said, well, when I didn't know how to do it. And just miracles started happening. And it's funny because it was Doctor of Ministry, and people would say they call it short, they go D-min, D.MIN. And I said, well, I got a demon, and so they make sure that it's D-min, D.MIN. But, it's with all these geniuses, and because of the rejection and the fear of rejection, fear of failure, swallowed up by my dad's shadow. It was like 50 feet tall. I was 5 inches tall, and his shoes were 6 feet long, and my shoes were 6 inches long, and I couldn't fit in. I couldn't measure up. So my whole life was measured by fear of rejection, fear of failure. I said, how did I make it through high school? How did I make it through college? How did I make it through graduate school? How did I make it through my doctoral program? There's other professors and pastors from all over the world that were just geniuses. And I thought, God, I'm not smart at all. I said, how did I even get here?
But one thing is that you had a fellow classmate, a couple of them, Richard Tao and Don Eubank, and they said, Dan, you may not have intellectual, quote unquote, but you have a very high EQ, emotional quotient. And the thing is that Dan has a lot of compassion and understanding for people, and that wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't have gone through some of these things. And I can tell you, I have seen my husband emerge in ways that I thought back on when we first met, and my dad said, well, that Dan guy, he seems like he has a little cloud over his head, like the Snoopy characters, the little, a little cloud. He always has a little cloud over him.
A dark cloud.
Yeah. But what's great is he was just a diamond in the rough. That's what I think. But we have polished each other up. We've been in that tumbler. We've been, because of the different things that have come against us and the experiences, good and bad and ugly. And people ask me, well, you probably never had any problems in your life. And I look at them, I go, what are you talking about? We've been to hell and back a few times, and it's a miracle we made it. We've survived. When I had my Medicare exam, I remember when that happened a couple years back, I was so excited that I made it. I got dressed up and put on a hat, and I went to my exam, and most people are like, oh, I have a Medicare exam. I was grateful I made it. I lived through a near-death experience and a lot of different experiences that were negative. They wondered if I'd even make it. And I'm so grateful. I was happy. I said, I'm going to celebrate. I made it to 65 and I'm here to prove it. And I had a great exam and it was a miracle. So I have learned to embrace life. I've always been passionate about life, but I have learned that there are more important things to life than sometimes we used to think. And I used to think, I was naive in thinking that if I got a degree, I was the first high school graduate in my immediate family. I was the first and only person that went to, well, my mom also went to college. She got her GED later and also got an AA degree. And you know what's interesting is I thought that if I was educated, I was naive in thinking that if I was educated, I would not have hard experiences in life. Somehow I thought that I'd outsmart them. Well, guess what? It doesn't work. Education isn't everything. It's good to experience. It expands you as a person. It allows you to meet different people, but it is not the end all. And even when you get a job, and I was a design manager and a home decor manager in Temecula, California. I remember after I'd gotten my second degree in interior design. And guess what? The recession hit. And here I was without a job. I'm thinking, how in the world did this happen? But you know what? That's how life is sometimes. It is a great adventure. And it's not boring. And I can tell you one thing. Being married to my husband and going through what we've been through, oh my gosh, if you would have told me back then what we were going to go through, I don't know if I would have actually come into this relationship. But I have such an amazing husband and I'm very, very grateful. But we wanted it just to encourage you today. We want to give you a word, a good word, a word that says that when two or more are gathered in your name, you're there in the midst of them. We want to thank you for the prayers. We felt them. We felt the prayers. I just woke up that morning and sometimes if I wake up crying, I just sense, okay, I need to do something today. What is it? And I just felt, I didn't even ask Dan for permission. I said, oh, doggone it, I need help. We need intercessory prayer power. That's what we need. And I knew I could call on friends and family that I've known since high school, grade school, college, ministry, whatever. I didn't care. I was desperate. And I want to thank all of you for your prayers, your kind, encouraging words. And I am so thankful. We are turning the corner of this chapter. We're not done yet, but we are turning the corner. And we wanted to just encourage someone out there today. And we'd like to pray for people that are hurting, people that have been disappointed, people that have been depressed, people that just feel like they don't fit in or they've lost a loved one or they're still grieving. We lost our beloved Uncle Miko. He was my surrogate dad and my mom's best friend, brother. And then 3 months later, not even 3 months, we lost his daughter, his youngest daughter, Raquel. And then I found out that when I was in Arizona, I didn't even know my dad's youngest sister died and her brother-in-law died. And, there's just been one person after the other. And it's almost too hard to take sometimes. But I can tell you this, God is a good God, and he will see you through any situation, any challenge you have. And I want to encourage you today that God will see you through. Would you do a final prayer, Dan, for our listening
Yes,
friends?
the experiences that we've had have been so amazing, and I thought all the losses, all of the expectations and things just not working out, and so many times over and over and over and over, and the trauma and all the pain being stuffed, and subconsciously. And, it's amazing because I'm thinking, how do we do all these things? How did we plant 3 different churches? How did I teach? How did I preach? How did I do anything? It's just miraculous. It's only the Holy Spirit could work through all the different things that we've experienced. And so, I want to encourage you with empowering encouragement and supernatural strength, to bring hope and healing. That's our greatest passion, compassion for people and understanding. You can go face your pain, you can work through your pain by the grace of God and come out better, stronger, more sensitive, more compassionate, more loving, and just heaven on earth. But the experiences that we've had the last 12 weeks, we wanted to share with you. And thank you
Yes.
for your miracle prayers, powerful prayers. It's a miracle that I'm being able to talk and just be here with you. It's just it's miraculous. It's beyond belief. And so this is our first podcast that we've done, and we're going to start doing some more. But we wanted to pray for you here. And so, Lord, we thank you right now that everyone listening, all of our faithful friends, passionate prayer warriors, beautiful people, Lord, blessing. We ask and we thank you for blessing them beyond belief in every area of their lives. Every area, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, materially, financially, Lord. Miracle breakthroughs beyond belief, blessing them beyond their wildest dreams. Lord, we thank you that you do hear us and you do answer. And so many times when we think you're not really working, that's when you're working the most.
Yes.
Lord, I want to thank you for bringing up all of the trauma, all of the heartache, all of the shock and grief and anxiety and freezing fear and all the torment, all the stuff, Lord. Just bring it, cause it to come up out of us so we can get rid of the poisonous pain and receive your perfect peace beyond belief. Lord, increasing in our lives, increasing in the lives of all of our faithful friends right now. Just give them miracle breakthroughs, Lord. Let them experience heaven on earth. Let them experience miracles of love and joy and peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, meekness, all of the fruit of your Spirit, all the blessings from you, our Daddy in heaven, Lord. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. Blessings beyond belief to all of you. We love you. We thank you for being our friends. Continue to pray for us, and we'll do some more updates as the Lord leads. So
I wanted just to share one final thing that we listened to T.D. Jakes, and he has a book out called Crushing. And he said many times we are taught to believe in the promises of God, but we're not taught to learn to embrace the process. It's a process, no matter what you do in life. So today, I just hope we can encourage you today, and that you will know that no matter what you go through, it will take time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I just feel that someone needs to hear it is a process. It does take time. It does take steps. But you know what? I want to give you hope that you can come out on the other side. From a couple that to know each other almost 45 years and to come out of all the things we've come out of, you can color us grateful. So very grateful. Right, Dan?
yes. Just blessing beyond belief. is just amazing, and we're so thankful and grateful for all of you. Miracle healing has come and is coming, and we're all breaking through together. And I believe that the best days in history are coming up. Heaven is kissing the earth. Heaven is coming to this earth through people who love others.
Yes.
And that's who you are. You love people. You love God. You love your design.
And even those that may not know God, there's always hope. There's always hope. And I don't know how you can make this life, go through it without God in your life. I'm grateful that we've had a foundation and that God has seen us through. And we can't take any credit for what we've been through, what we've come out of. It's been by the grace of God. It makes you appreciate those old hymns, Amazing Grace, and Great is Your Faithfulness. So we want to sign off and let you know, thank you so much for all your prayers, and we'll be in touch. We've got some other stories to share and how we got here, because it didn't happen overnight, and it was definitely a process, and the best is yet to come.
Yes, God bless you all. We love you. And thank you.